to the MovieJeff.com Sunday Book Review. Now, here's MovieJeff.com. Hey everyone, welcome to the Sunday Book Review. Back again for a eighth, ninth. I lost track. I lost track of what number this is. I'm just sitting on a fence. The Secrets of Life, a self-help memoir by Dax Flame. Now this is a weird one. All right, okay, let's get into it. Okay, here we go. Dax Flame is a YouTuber, an actor, a man of some renown, who is someone who I've been following on. I can't say that I've been a fan of his for that long, just to be honest with you. Where did I even hear about him? I don't know. He's just a guy. I was late to the game, but I got into his work, and his whole shtick is really is more or less, and that's the whole thing. I think kind of calling it a shtick versus not calling it a shtick is sort of the big question when it comes to unpacking what this dude's all about. And the only reason he's primarily a YouTuber, so that's what he's been doing since the very early days of YouTube. He's a vlogger essentially, and he made these viral videos when he was a teen, even a preteen maybe. I forget how old he is in the first few, and those are still among the ones that are the most notorious, or the ones that have the most views. Are these ones that he made when he was pretty young. He was a child essentially, and he's just getting really angry, and he's talking about like kids at school and things not going his way. And the most famous one, he's wearing like a Superman outfit, and he's all pissed off because like he was the only person at school that dressed up as a superhero. He got like tricked. I forget the exact context of it. But he's this weird, kind of misunderstood kid. And you watch these things thinking, is this a shtick? Is this a put on? Is this dude acting? And he's transitioned now into a more like relaxed, restrained into as he's entered adulthood. He's an adult, and Dax Flame is a pseudonym, by the way. So I enjoy his I really enjoy. And since I never got on board with his work earlier, I really only know him. I know him more for the stuff that he's done recently, and I've heard him on some podcasts and stuff. And I find him just to be a super interesting dude. And for example, in this year, 2023, the beginning of this year, maybe the end of last year, he decided that AI, notably ChatGPT, was going to, quote unquote, run his life. And he's been making videos with that in mind ever since. And so he basically he'll prompt the ChatGPT to like tell him to do something, and then he'll do it, or like, what video should I make today, and blah, blah, blah. Just big decisions in his life. He's putting into the whim of ChatGPT, and that's sort of been the shtick that he does now. But he is, like I said, I find him really super interesting. He's still kind of under the radar. I mean, he's not like the most well-known guy. And one of his YouTube videos, the reason I'm kind of backtracking here to the book is that he included a link for a free PDF of his first book. He's written 3 books. This one is the first one that came out in 2014. And then he wrote a book called Ice Cream Man, which came out in 2019. And most recently, Dax Flame's Guide to Making Money as an Influencer, which came out in 2020. which is more in line with sort of his shtick now, which is like, how do you make money? You know, a lot of really what he talks about now, and his whole vibe is that, like, you know, he's just like, how do I make it as a content creator? Because after he got his initial kind of viral success as a young person, as a very young person, he then was cast in movies. He was in a few as like bit parts, but as like with speaking roles in 21 Jump Street and a movie called Project X, both of which I never saw. But he had enough to do in at least 21 Jump Street, which I think he still mentions he gets noticed, recognized for that in his real life. He was also in the 22 Jump Street sequel. He what other movies was he in? The Watch. There's not a long line, but he's been in a lot of YouTube movies and short films by other YouTubers since then as well. And he's even made his own feature length. He made a feature length movie called Making YouTube, which he starred in and directed, and it was like a biopic on the history of YouTube, I guess. So like, yeah, like I find him fascinating. He co-directed a movie with this other guy named Joel Haver called Drowning in Potential that they both wrote and starred in together, and it features some other guys that pop up in a lot of the Dax Flame cinematic universe, I guess you could call it. These like Brett and Dion. There's these guys he's kind of like discovered or found in the course of his years making YouTube videos. Anyway, I'm rambling a bit on the history of Dax Flame, but I thought there's good context for the book. The book is he is still kind of in this in between the persona that I guess you could kind of associate with him now, and that early persona of a younger person coming into adulthood, really not knowing who they are. And I'm not any closer to figuring out what this guy is truly like in real life. And I'm leaning more on the side that I don't think any of it is necessarily a shtick. I think he's just an oddball who is more self-aware than you probably realize. But in reading the book, which is surprisingly well written, especially given when it came out and how old he is. I'm trying to think, like, just Dax Flame real. All right, let me just see. Like, I think this information is maybe he's 31 years old now. This is according to the internet. I don't know if that's totally accurate. So this movie, the book comes out when he's still a teen when he wrote this, and it's a mix of short stories and more memoirish chapters of diary entries. One of which actually links to a unlisted YouTube video on his channel, which is kind of really fascinating to kind of watch that, because that's right in the middle period of like where the YouTube videos he started to make after, and then like the early ones. So the book is a good sort of transitional moment in the kind of the life and the art, if you will, of Dax Flame. And I thought it was surprisingly both interesting and well written. I think it was well written in a way that I wasn't expecting. I think he's a pretty like solid writer, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. Like not every one of the stories connected with me. There's a lengthy screenplay treatment for a movie where he envisions Keira Knightley in a love triangle with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. That was a slog to get through. It's I felt like it was one of the longer pieces in the book. But some of the other ones are like really entertaining, and I genuinely thought it was it was a random book for me to watch. First of all, I think I made a note here on one of them. Let's see. Yeah, I thought I made more notes for this, but I apparently didn't. I thought, because there's this new bookmark feature I use in my I use the Google Play Books app. Are you guys familiar with that? That's how I sometimes upload these ebooks when I'm reading an ebook. And in this case, it was a PDF which I had to I did like some sort of, I don't know what, maybe I used a program or something online to make it an EPUB. And it didn't translate super well to the e-reader from PDF. PDFs are tricky to read on your phone, I find. But it worked well enough. There was weird, like the page numbers would like break up in the middle of a sentence sometimes when I did the transfer. It's neither here nor there, but the one page I did bookmark was about this one story where he was relaying this very simple kind of thing about having an arm and a sling and trying to use a manual pencil sharpener, which I thought was like a really quaint anecdote, sort of kind of interesting. And yeah, he's just an interesting guy, Dax Flame, and that's all. There's not really more to say about it. I think this is he's a whole kind of universe in and on itself. When you start following him on YouTube, and then these books are this interesting kind of companion piece to that world that he's created. And I don't know if I'm gonna anytime soon get the other 2 books that he's put out. I feel like I haven't, I'm not like that deep into. There's a lot of his videos which I have not seen. There's a movie called Ice Cream Man. That's sort of a companion. He didn't make it. It was somebody else on YouTube made a documentary about him. I think it's a documentary sort of about Dax, which I definitely want to watch at some point. iDubbbz maybe is the guy who made that movie. But the book is also his second book is called Ice Cream Man. Like I said, he worked at an ice cream shop or something. I don't know. Neither here nor there. What did I give this? A 7, I think I said. So we'll stick with that. It's pretty good. I think it was better. I thought it would be interesting, but it was also better. The prose was better than I expected. So, especially for someone who wrote it when he was like a teenager, it's very impressive on some level. There you have it, folks. I'm just sitting on a fence.